Don't talk. Black single dad saved stranger. Unaware she was a billionaire searching for love. The night wind rubbed against the glass like a soft hand, and the city looked like spilled stars below the Fontainebleau Miami. Marcus Williams checked his watch. 2:47 a.m. He wiped a brass handle until it shined like the moon. The smell of cleaner clung to his uniform. His knees hurt the way they always hurt since the war, but his back was straight and his eyes were sharp. He had 2 kids sleeping across town, Zara and Nana, and that alone kept him steady. When the radio crackled, "Marcus, motion on the roof again." He answered, "Copy," and locked the supply closet. The service elevator hummed. As it rose, he touched his phone screen and saw the beach photo. Zara grinning with a seashell. Nana, hair flying, laughing without sound. He had worked 3 double shifts for that one day off, and it was worth every tired bone. The elevator dinged. Humid air wrapped around him as he stepped into the rooftop garden. Palms whispered. The lights were low and warm, the kind rich people liked when they wanted to feel safe and special. By the east rail, a woman stood alone like a quiet statue, the skyline painting her in silver. Fancy dress, fancy shoes. A person used to eyes on her, and yet tonight she was trying not to be seen. Then Marcus saw it, a tiny red dot climbing the glass behind her head like a wicked firefly. His body moved faster than thought. "Don't talk," he said, voice firm as steel. "Down, now, roll left." She blinked. The dot kissed her temple. She dropped. The glass exploded with a soft, deadly cough. Marcus grabbed her arm, pulled her low, ran his body between her and the danger. He could read angles like maps. Shoot her across the street, 15 floors up, southeast corner. "Service door, move." She followed. He shielded. Another whispering shot chewed a planter into stone dust. He shoved open the heavy door, tugged her into a bright hallway that smelled like wet metal and soap. The radio shouted at him. He shut it off. First rule, protect the person. Everything else is noise. The elevator came. He put her in the corner, his body making a wall. Her eyes were wide but steady. He hit basement. The doors shut. Fluorescent light showed her face. Sharp cheekbones, eyes that thought fast, makeup smudged into a human story. "Who are you?" she whispered. "Security," he said, which was true and also not enough. The basement opened like a maze he knew by heart. He led her through turns and shadows until they reached a storage room that smelled like bleach and boxes. Sirens grew in the distance like rain rolling in. "Are you hurt?" he asked. Only then did he see his own palm dripping a thin, bright line. She pressed tissues on it with steady hands. "Thank you," she said. "Don't thank me yet," he answered. "You're not safe." They didn't share names first. They shared breath, shared fear, shared the duty of listening. He called a number from an old life. "Ghost 7, he said. "Active shooter. 1 confirmed. Pro, southeast building. Send federal, not local." He ended the call before questions started. The woman watched him like she was measuring a bridge. "You calculate wind," she said softly. "You move like the floor told you where to step." He did not answer that. He listened at the door. Quiet now except the sirens. He gave her the rules. When they come, go with them. Tell them the truth. Tell them everything. "And you?" "I'll take the heat from my boss. I turned off my radio." She gave a tiny smile that trembled at the edges. "We both did something we weren't supposed to do." Agents in heavy vests burst in, and for a moment Marcus shoved her back, ready to shield, ready to fight, until the word FBI cut the air. The next hour was a storm of voices, photos, questions, tape, markers, radios. They walked her away. She looked back once. He nodded once. It said, "You're alive." Later, at 5 a.m., Marcus sat in a small office under white lights while a manager with soft hands yelled about rules. The door opened. The woman entered in jeans and a plain shirt that probably cost more than the couch. 2 agents flanked her. "This man saved my life," she said. "If you fire him, I'll buy this hotel and fire you." The manager went pale. "Miss Jen Rothschild," he whispered. Marcus knew that name from magazine covers, from podcast headlines. Isabella Chen Rothschild, the person in big articles about quantum encryption and digital safety. He felt his world tilt a little. He didn't bow. He didn't grin. He also didn't blink. He acted beyond his job, she said. Promote him. I don't need, he started. What you need, she said, is not to be punished for doing right. She looked at him. Come with me. Not necessary. The shooter will try again. A cold hand ran up his spine. She wasn't wrong. He thought about his girls. He thought about the red dot. He thought about a voice in his head that still sounded like his wife saying, "Do the next kind thing." He called Mrs. Chen downstairs from his building, the neighbor who loved his kids like they were her granddaughters. He told her he might be late. She told him, "Be safe. Your daughters need a living father, not a brave ghost." He met Isabella and the FBI in a small safe apartment in Coral Gables. It had plain couches, good locks, and a shelf of children's books that did not match the rest. I read to kids when I can, she said, as if embarrassed to be kind. Helps my mind rest. He checked windows, corners, doors. He felt the old training slide on like a jacket he had put away but never threw out. He made coffee. She asked about his daughters. Zara is 11. Smart like fire. Nena is 7. She does not speak. But she sings with hands. Sign language? Yes, I know a little, she said. I learned to talk to a cousin in Beijing. They were strangers who did not feel like strangers. They sat by a window and watched the morning paint Miami gold. She asked why he saved her. He could have said duty. He could have said training. But her eyes were not the kind you lied to. My wife died, he said. Cancer, I could not stop it. But a bullet, a red dot, that I could stop, she whispered. I am sorry. The room felt like a held breath. His phone buzzed. He saw Zara's face pop up on video. He let Isabella join the call. Is that... Zara squinted and then nearly shouted, You're Isabella Chen Rothschild. The girl fired off questions about quantum keys and math like bright arrows. Isabella laughed for the first time, a sound lighter than the night they'd had. She promised books. She promised to send the good kind, the ones full of real ideas, not fluff. When the call ended, sirens again filled their ears. Closer, wrong, not the helpful kind. A black SUV rolled slow past the building like a shark's shadow. The FBI stood, radios alive. 4 men got out across the street, smooth, trained, not locals. Not the sniper, Marcus said. These are new wolves. The agents guided them deeper into the apartment. The door blew inward like paper. Gunfire crackled. Marcus moved Isabella to the fire escape. They went down 2 flights as walls above them coughed dust and pain. In the alley they ran. He knew where to cut. He knew dumpsters that hid bodies for a second, trucks that blocked line of sight, corners that held air for people on the move. My car, she panted. He almost laughed when she pointed to a beat-up Civic. Smart, he said. Money hides best when it looks like it has none. He drove like a needle through cloth, fast and careful, never in a straight line, never close to lights that could trap them. The city blurred. He did the simplest thing. He took her home. His building was not fancy. It was clean. The hallway smelled like onion and soap and the lives of working people. Inside his apartment, the couch had a blanket with little rockets on it. The fridge was covered in drawings. The table had a tiny chip in one corner where baby Zara had once banged a spoon too hard. It's perfect, Isabella said. It's small, he corrected. It's loved, she answered, and he had no reply to that. He made her a turkey sandwich with the last of the bread and saw her eat with real hunger, no manners for show. His burner phone buzzed, the one only 3 people had. He answered. Ghost 7, said a voice from a different life. Tommy Morrison, a friend from war who changed after too many tours. Heard you cost me a contract, Tommy said. You tried to kill a woman, Marcus said. No such thing as innocent with that kind of money, Tommy answered, and then sighed like a tired man. Walk away, brother. Take your girls and go. I'll wire 50 grand. Disappear. Can't. Knew you'd say that. Watch the Serbians. Not my team. They won't care who gets hurt. The line died. In the quiet that followed, guilt found a chair. "Your daughters," Isabella whispered. "I put them in danger." "You didn't. The wolves did." "But we will move faster than the wolves." He grabbed his bag. He grabbed his keys. "We get them now." At the school gate, Mrs. Chen waited with a sun hat and a calm face that said she could hide a storm behind a smile. Marcus stayed in the car while Isabella slid out to help, speaking Mandarin easily, pretending to be a visiting cousin. To anyone watching, it looked like an ordinary pickup. Two girls hugging an aunt and walking to a car. Inside, Zara talked fast about science and ideas, about a chapter she had read. Nena pressed her cheek to Isabella's shoulder like a small cat. The burner rang again. A woman's voice this time. Not Serbian. Not friendly. "We have safe haven," the voice said. "Come to the hotel service entrance." 1 hour. "Who is this?" Marcus asked. "Your guest's mother." Isabella's fingers slowly tightened in her lap. "My mother is dead," she said. The caller ignored that. 1 hour, she repeated and hung up. Cars behind them honked. The light turned green. "We do not know if it's a trap," Marcus said. "It probably is. But there are cameras. There are agents. If we are to step into a trap, better an open one." He drove in loops, testing for tails, letting time be his friend. When he reached the hotel, the service door opened and an older woman with silver hair stood like a tree that had survived storms. Isabella stopped breathing for a second. "Mama," she whispered, voice breaking in a place too deep to fix with stitches. The woman's arms were strong. "Inside," she said. The room upstairs looked like money-made safe. Glass that did not break, doors that would not bend, cameras that saw all, corners that held quiet men with quick hands. The woman's name was Min. The story came like a river. A staged death. A father who sold safety for business. A mafia of suits and smiles with dark ships behind them. A marriage contract that turned a daughter into a bridge between bad men. Min had run. Min had watched. Min had collected proof like seeds. She had waited for the right rain. "This is rain," she said. "You changed it last night, Mr. Williams." He didn't feel like a hero. He felt like a father who was very, very tired. Nena climbed into Min's lap like she had known her forever. She touched Min's cheek with flat fingers. She signed a little clumsy sentence. Isabella laughed and cried at once. "She says you smell like sadness and like hope." Min put her forehead to Nena's hair and closed her eyes. The plan came from all of them at once. Law alone would be slow. Money alone would be crushed. Truth needed both light and law. Isabella knew a reporter who wasn't afraid of big shadows. Min had hard files. The FBI had the right to grab wrists and take passports. But the wolves still had teeth. One of them floated on a shiny yacht waiting for a wedding he thought was already won. "We go to him," Marcus said. We cut off his smile by making him say the truth out loud. It sounded crazy. It was crazy. But the people on that boat wore masks. Masks often fall when the world leans close. Isabella did not like being bait. She also did not like giving up. She looked at Zara and Nena, who were making a paper swan on the floor. "We will face him," she said. "And end it." Washington, Marcus's old shooter, took a rooftop across the water. Diego watched the girls with a soft heart and a hard eye. Petrov, who used to be on the other side of things, spoke fast to men who might listen if the money line got cut. Tommy swam out of the dark like regret. "Midnight," he had said. "Slip 47. He met Marcus in the water under the belly of the big boat. They were enemies. They were still brothers. They were both tired of being any one thing. "This is stupid," Tommy said. "Probably," Marcus answered. They smiled like the old days and climbed. On deck, the party looked like a movie. Sparkle, laughter, white shoes, soft songs, greedy eyes. David Lowe stood near the bow with his chin lifted like he owned every wave. Isabella walked toward him in a dress that made people hush. She looked like she belonged. She did not belong to him. He leaned in like a snake, hissing sweet. "I knew you'd come," he said. "You can't run from this." "I can stand and watch you fall," she said, voice small but steady. Somewhere above, Washington's breath slowed. He counted to 3 and fired a single careful shot that shattered a glass in Lou's hand but left his skin untouched. The party screamed and fell apart. Marcus and Tommy stepped from the shadows, guns steady, eyes cold. The guards lifted weapons and then set them down when they saw how calm Marcus was, how quiet Tommy was. Men who are not afraid make other men rethink their choices. Sirens rolled nearer. The FBI boats cut the water like knives. Min emerged in server black, holding a tablet that glowed with the hard facts of dirty business. "Your friends will cut you loose," she told Lou. "They already have." He spat words about power and reach and revenge. Isabella showed her phone where files flowed into the news like a river bursting a dam. "Uploading now," she said. "You cannot stop a tide with empty hands." Lou tried to smile and found his mouth did not know how. Agents boarded. Cuffs clicked. The world tilted. The wolves lost teeth. Tommy stood very still watching the man he had planned to protect get dragged by the arm. "I canceled the other hitters," he said softly. "Children are not targets." "Not ever." Marcus nodded. For a second they were soldiers again, boys who had learned the hard way where to draw the line. The next morning, the apartment smelled like rice porridge and clean sunlight. Min taught the girls to stir without burning. Zara asked Isabella 500 questions about code, and Isabella answered with joy, not pride. Marcus slept for an hour on the couch because his body finally believed he could. When he woke, he heard a small voice. He thought it was a dream. He sat up fast. Nena stood by the table, eyes bright, lips brave. "Daddy," she said, voice rusty and perfect. "Are you okay?" The room went quiet. Min pressed a hand to her chest. Marcus did not know whether to laugh or cry, so he did both. He lifted his girl and spun her carefully. "I'm okay," he said. "We're okay." Isabella put a hand on his shoulder and squeezed. "We are okay," she echoed, and her eyes said more she did not have words for. News blew across the world like wind. Bad men were arrested in airports and boardrooms. Secret banks stuck doors closed. A reporter told the story, not about a billionaire, but about a guard who said 2 words at the right time and pulled a stranger into safety. The hotel manager brought cake and apologies. He offered Marcus a bigger job. Marcus said yes because more power meant more protection for more people. That night, on the roof where the glass had broken, Marcus stood in a suit that felt strange across his shoulders. Tom, now Thomas to the world, appeared for a minute under a new name and left a note. "Make your world safe." "I'll try to do the same." The air was soft. Miami breathed around them. Isabella walked to the rail. "Do you regret anything?" she asked. He thought of Keisha, of holding her hand in a hospital room where machines hummed a song that never changed. He thought of 2 little girls and a photo on his phone. He thought of a red dot and a voice that said, "Don't talk." "I regret not buying more bread," he said, and she laughed so hard she had to wipe her eyes. Time moved like a kind river for a while. Not calm, never calm, but kind. Isabella did not run back to a glass tower on the other side of town. She moved upstairs into the apartment that came open. Money turned into space for homework, doors that locked safely, and a new bed that did not squeak. She and Marcus did not rush to a church with flowers and photos and a dress that people judged. They stood at the same hotel garden with thick glass and palm shadows, with friends who had saved them and neighbors who fed them. Nena tossed petals down the aisle. Zara held the rings like they were planets. Min walked with Isabella, each step closing the gap built by years of pretending to be dead. Marcus said his vow in simple words. "I will listen to you. I will guard our home. I will teach our kids to see the world and to see people." Isabella smiled through tears. "You saved me with Don't Talk. I give you 2 back. I'm home." They kissed under a sky that looked like it might bend down and bless them. Even Brennan, the hotel manager, clapped like a man happy to be wrong. Later, in a small room with cake crumbs on paper plates, Isabella told him about an idea. "Security that cares," she said. "Not for celebrities, for people who think no one will help them. We train teams who do not judge. We teach them to see like you do. He said, "I don't do fancy slides." She said, "I don't need slides. I need heart and skill." He said yes. Not because of money, though the money would help, but because his chest felt warm at the thought of leaving the world softer than he found it. Zara thrived like a plant that had sunlight and water, and someone who asked, "What did you learn today?" She ate textbooks and asked questions that made grown men scratch their heads. Isabella built a little lab corner for her with a good chair, a lamp that did not hurt eyes, and books that were not dumbed down. Nena began saying words like a person testing a bridge with gentle steps. She still signed because hands were sometimes faster than lips, and that was okay. Min filled the kitchen with the smell of ginger and tea and love that had crossed an ocean. Mrs. Chen still brought soup and scolded Marcus when he forgot to rest. Tommy sent jokes only Marcus would understand. Diego took the girls to the park and taught them to always know where the exits were without ever scaring them. Washington taught them to breathe steady while counting to 10, because calm is also a muscle. Petrov brought chess to the house and taught Zara to think 5 moves ahead. Some nights were joyful. Some were simply ordinary, which felt like a miracle. Some nights were hard. Threats poked around the edges. Old friends of old enemies tried small fires in dark corners. But Marcus's world had watchers now. The wolves did not like lights. They stayed away from the house that smelled like rice and crayons and math. One evening, as sunset painted the sky with pink and orange, Isabella stood on the balcony with her hands tucked into Marcus's hoodie. "I found a boy," she said. "Not found like a lost sock. Found like a life standing alone." She showed a photo of a 4-year-old with careful eyes. His parents were taken by the same network that tried to take me. He needs a home. Marcus looked at the picture. He saw a face that had had to be brave when it should have been silly. He saw a chance to make the world fair for one small person. "Bring him home," he said. They adopted him and named him Kai. He learned to say Baba and Mama Bella and no more broccoli very quickly. He spoke Mandarin with Min and English with his siblings and danced with his feet all by himself. He followed Marcus like a shadow. He asked hard questions and hugged hard too. The family got loud in the best ways. Laughing loud, learning loud, loving loud. The apartment got crowded, so Isabella solved it the way she solved all puzzles. She bought the floor and made it look like separate homes to the outside, but one home to them. They still ate in the old kitchen, shoulder to shoulder, passing bowls and jokes. They still sat on the same couch. Riches did not steal their little rituals. They kept them like treasure. People called Marcus a hero. He shook his head at that word, but he stood in a suit at a podium 1 year later anyway and talked about second chances. They opened the Chen Williams Center for Refugee Protection in a building with big windows and a garden where children could plant herbs and see things grow. People came who had been harmed by men with nice watches. People came who were tired of running. The center offered lawyers and lessons, beds and blankets, quiet places and loud celebrations. Zara helped build a safe system where no files could be stolen or lost. She explained it with bright eyes and simple words because she believed only the very smart can be truly simple. Nena sang a song about home that made old soldiers cry. Kai showed 3 self-defense moves that made ladies clap and promised to practice at home. Isabella spoke last with a hand on Marcus's shoulder, telling the story in soft lines. A guard told me, "Don't talk." Those words saved my life. Now we use our voices to save others. Marcus thought of the rooftop and the red dot and the way everything after that moment was a gift. The world stayed the world. New storms came. One came with rain and wind that pushed sideways and sirens that sang all night. The twins were born in that storm because babies do not ask for weather. They asked for love and they got all of it. They came home to a house with rocking chairs that never creaked and siblings who had built a welcome parade from paper. Later, there was another adoption because the heart stretches when you use it. Later, there was Zara's early college acceptance and Nena's choir award and Kai's chess trophy and the twins' first steps that looked like tipsy dance. Later, there were nights when fear came back and sat at the foot of the bed. Marcus would get up and stand by the window, hands on the sill, eyes on the dark, and remember to breathe. Isabella would join him and tuck herself under his arm and say, "Don't talk." He would smile and answer, "I'm listening." They listened to the city and the quiet and each other. They listened to kids dreaming. They listened to tomorrow asking to be met with courage and kindness one more time. Years from that first night, a small boy, Kai, now much taller, asked, "Daddy, tell me again the first words you said to Mama." Marcus told him. "I said, 'Don't talk.'" The boy frowned. "That sounds rude." Marcus laughed. It was right for that moment. After that, we talked a lot. Isabella walked in with flour on her cheek. "We also listened a lot," she added. "Listening is how love grows." The children rolled their eyes at the mush and then leaned closer anyway because even kids who roll their eyes want to hear about love when it is real. Min shook her head and smiled into her tea. The balcony door was open. Miami wind slipped in with the smell of ocean and street food and rain far away. The world was still sharp in places. But in this house the edges were soft. The door knocked. It was Tommy with a new name and a beard, holding a paper bag of donuts, eyes careful and kind. "Brought sugar," he said. "Stay for dinner," Isabella answered. "We always cook too much." He stepped inside a little hunched like a man who had learned to take up less space in the world. The kids circled him with questions. He looked at Marcus, who nodded. It meant, "You are safe here." On the roof of the hotel where it began, there is a small plaque now, tucked near the planter where stone once split under a bullet. It does not tell a story in long words. It just says, "To the ones who listen, to the ones who protect, to the ones who love." People pass it and don't notice. That is fine. It is there for the few who need it the minute they see it. It is there for a tired night guard who looks up and remembers that 2 small words can open a whole life. It is there for a woman who once stood at a rail, thinking she had run out of road, and learned that sometimes the road turns into a door. And on quiet nights, when the palms whisper like old friends, if you stand there and close your eyes, you can almost hear it again, the steady voice that started everything. Don't talk. You can hear the answer, warm as a kitchen full of family. I'm home. And if you listen deeper, you will hear a chorus under that, made of children's laughter and old friends and brave choices and soft mornings and long storms survived. It will tell you what every good story tells, in the simplest words it can find. Love shows up. Love stays. Love builds. This is the story of how a black single dad saved a stranger and found a family, and how a lonely billionaire searching for love found it in a small kitchen with a chipped table and the smell of rice. This is how the title we started with stayed true all the way to the end. Don't Talk, Black Single Dad Saved Stranger, Unaware She Was a Billionaire Searching for Love.